Tunisia 1942, the showdown between Patton and Rommel. Step back in time with us and witness the ultimate showdown of World War II as two of the greatest generals, Georges Patton and Erwin Rommel, face off in the Tunisia Campaign. Watch as Patton's unorthodox tactics and superior firepower go head-to-head with Rommel's traditional warfare methods and heavily armed tanks. Will Patton be able to overcome the odds and lead the Allies to victory? Or will Rommel and the Axis powers emerge victorious? Don't miss this exclusive, action-packed video that brings the 1942 battle in Tunisia to life. Welcome to History Flicks, where we unveil the beastliest weapons and connect the dots of the eeriest and most horrendous events in history. Join us as we take you back to 1942, where two iconic generals, Georges Patton and Erwin Rommel, clash in a legendary confrontation. Witness the brutal battle unfold as we explore the strategies, tactics, weapons, and impact of this decisive campaign. Get ready for an action-packed journey through history. Well, did you know in 1942, the sands of Tunisia were witness to a legendary confrontation between two of the most renowned generals of World War II, Georges Patton and Erwin Rommel? Yeah, and the outcome of this battle determined the fate of North Africa and left a lasting impact on the legacies of both Patton and Rommel. As the Axis powers, commanded by Germany and Italy, drove the Allied forces, led by the United States and the United Kingdom, out of Libya and into Tunisia, Rommel's Axis forces had the upper hand with a superior number of tanks and armored vehicles, and the advantage of familiar terrain, having fought in North Africa previously. But Patton, a master of the art of war, was not one to be underestimated. The barren desert terrain was a foreign land for the Allied forces led by Patton, while Rommel and the Axis powers had previous experience fighting in the area. Logistics were also a nightmare for both sides, as the harsh desert made it nearly impossible to transport troops and supplies over long distances. The scorching sun and treacherous dunes proved to be a formidable opponent for both Patton and Rommel. Watch how Patton faced an uphill battle as the Axis powers had a significant advantage in terms of tanks and armored vehicles. Rommel's superior firepower made it difficult for Patton to hold his ground and defend against attacks, but with his quick thinking and innovative tactics, Patton managed to turn the tide of the battle. He made up for the lack of tanks and armored vehicles by deploying his limited number of tanks in small, highly mobile units that could quickly respond to gaps in the front line and launch sudden and unexpected attacks. He also used his artillery and air power to great effect, launching devastating bomb raids against key Axis positions and providing cover fire for his ground forces. Rommel, on the other hand, was caught off guard by Patton's unorthodox tactics. The general's use of small, agile units and his mastery of artillery and air power caught Rommel by surprise and made it hard for him to counter the Allies' advances. Additionally, the superior firepower of the Allies also proved to be a major challenge for Rommel and his troops. Rommel relied on traditional warfare methods, using his tanks and armored vehicles to spearhead his attacks, but his tactics were not as effective as Patton's. Clearly, they fought the sweatiest and most body-numbing fight, which not only carved an important milestone in World War II's history, but also in ours. Obviously, because you're liking this video and now that we've mentioned it, subscribing to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Thanks. Now back to the video. Well, soldiers both sides utilized artillery and air power during the battle, but the Allies had an upper hand in these areas with superior artillery and a stronger air force. The Axis powers had less artillery and fewer aircraft, but made use of what they had to support their ground troops and weaken the Allied defenses. In the heat of the 1942 battle in Tunisia, Patton and Rommel both wielded an arsenal of weapons. Patton's go-to was the nimble M3 Stuart light tank. The M3 Stuart light tank, also known as Honey, was a lithe and cunning weapon of war, designed to outsmart and outmaneuver the enemy. Its lightweight design and the powerful engine allowed it to move swiftly across the battlefield, making it a difficult target to hit. Its small size also made it easy to conceal and launch surprise attacks, while its 37mm main gun and .3 caliber machine gun provided just enough firepower to take out enemy tanks. However, it was not as heavily armed. He also employed the M4 Sherman medium tank, which packed more firepower but at the cost of speed and maneuverability. Alongside these tanks, Patton's troops utilized weapons like the M1 Garand rifle, the Thompson submachine gun, and the Browning automatic rifle, or bar. On the other hand, Rommel heavily relied on his tanks and armored vehicles, primarily the heavily armed Panzer III and IV tanks. He also possessed a small number of Tiger tanks, which were the most heavily armed and armored tanks of the war. The Tiger tank was a fierce predator of the battlefield, a true monster of war. Its thick armor made it nearly indestructible, while its 88mm main gun decimated enemy tanks. But it wasn't just brute force, it was also a master of stealth, sneaking up on the enemy and launching surprise attacks. Equipped with machine guns and a low profile, it was a nightmare for any enemy force. Rommel's troops were equipped with weapons such as the Mauser rifle, the MP-40 submachine gun, and the MG-34 machine gun. Now keep watching, soldier, and we will reveal who was victorious in this epic battle. The battle was fierce and bloody, with both sides suffering heavy losses. In the end, it was Patton's clever tactics and superior firepower that led the victory for the Allies and marked the first major defeat for the Axis powers. The defeat also marked the end of Rommel's career as a field commander, as he was recalled to Germany soon after. For Patton, it solidified his reputation as one of the greatest generals of the war. The Tunisia Campaign of World War II was a costly battle, taking a heavy toll on all parties involved. Though the numbers are not exact, it is believed that over 250,000 lives were lost in this desert conflict. The Allied forces, made up of American, British, and French troops, fought bravely and tirelessly against the Axis powers, and ultimately emerged victorious. For Patton, the victory of Tunisia was a turning point in his career. He had proven himself to be a master of desert warfare and a formidable opponent to Rommel, the so-called Desert Fox. He had also gained the respect and admiration of his troops, who knew that he had led them to victory against all odds. Rommel, on the other hand, had suffered a major defeat, and his reputation as a brilliant tactician was forever tarnished. He was recalled to Germany and was never again given a command in the field. Though his military career was over, his legacy as a brilliant commander would live on, and he would be remembered as one of the greatest generals of the war. All in all, we can note that George S. Patton and Erwin Rommel were two of the most renowned generals of World War II. Patton, known for his unorthodox tactics and superior firepower, was a master of the art of war and led the Allied forces in the Tunisia Campaign. Rommel, also known as the Desert Fox, was a brilliant tactician who commanded the Axis powers in North Africa. In conclusion, the Tunisia Campaign was a turning point in World War II, marking the first major defeat for the Axis powers and the beginning of the end of their North Africa campaign. It was a brutal and bloody battle, but it was also a testament to the courage and determination of the Allied forces, led by the brilliant George S. Patton. The sands of Tunisia will forever be etched in the annals of history, as the site of a fateful encounter between two of the greatest generals of the war. But what do you think would have happened if Patton had Tiger tanks instead of the bone-melting M3 Stuart? Was this war simply about the arsenals they possessed? Or is there something more to it? Let us know what you think about it in the comments below, and don't shy away from binging the next History Flicks video right now. Meet you there. Till then, goodbye, soldier.